Hey guys, welcome to part 1917 of Epic History's World War One series. We only have one more video after this and then we're done. So far I've really enjoyed this series. I really love learning about just more about this conflict, which I just find so fascinating. I just find World War One as a whole very fascinating. A very kind of change of the world, if you would. It's like things were never the same after this. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this, and I think the big thing that's about to happen is that my country, the US of A, is about to join the the party, the greatest nation in the world, America. No, I'm joking. I'm just joking around. Well, actually, I do love my nation, and I would say it is the greatest. But that's I think most people would say that about their nations, their own countries. So either way, it's gonna be a little weird seeing America because I'm so used to covering everything except America on this channel. It's kind of weird to see my country involved in a video, but oh well. Either way, I'm really looking forward to this and just seeing more about this conflict. So I don't really have much else to add other than, without any further ado, let's watch 1917 World War One by Epic History.
In 1916, World War I became a war of attrition. Both sides began to focus less on winning victory on the battlefield than grinding down the enemy and inflicting such enormous losses they would be forced to surrender. In 1917, the strategy will push Europe's major powers to the brink of collapse. Germany knows it will lose a long war of attrition against the Allies, who have greater resources. So its leaders gamble. They resume unrestricted submarine warfare, believing their U-boats can cut off Britain's food imports by sea and starve the country into surrender within 6 months. But the new shoot-on-sight tactics mean neutral American ships will inevitably be caught in the crossfire, risking America joining the war on the Allied side. Just 2 days into the campaign, the SS Housatonic, an American steamer carrying wheat from Galveston, Texas to England, is sunk by a U-boat. The British then pass to the US government a telegram they've intercepted from German Foreign Secretary Arthur Zimmermann to the German ambassador in Mexico. Germany is encouraging Mexico to attack America.
Yeah, I believe this telegram was actually intercepted, and this was another big part of the USA joining the war, right? Because Germany was not only bombing, US ships, but also trying to encourage this utter conflict. So it's like America was like, oh, screw it, we're joining. So yeah, it's been a while, like I said, since we've covered this. I learned a lot of this back in high school many years ago. So I remember we had a unit where we just kind of covered America's involvement in the First World War, so it's good to my mind's being refreshed on some of this.
If America and Germany end up at war. The so-called Zimmermann telegram puts yet more pressure on US President Wilson to declare war on Germany.
Oh, dang it.
In Russia, enormous casualties and bread shortages lead to riots and revolution. The Tsar abdicates. A provisional government takes charge, pledging to continue the war. But at the front, Russian troops begin to desert en masse. After a string of German provocations, the US finally declares war on Germany. It brings immense resources to the Allied cause, but they will take many months to mobilize. And the German gamble of unrestricted submarine warfare may still pay off. April is the U-boats' most successful month of the war. They sink 886,000 tons of Allied shipping, an average of 17 ships a day, all packed with urgently needed food and supplies. Britain will face starvation if the U-boats are not defeated soon. On the Western Front, the British launched the Battle of Arras, a diversion to support a major upcoming French offensive. After heavy fighting, Canadian troops seized the high ground of Vimy Ridge. It's a limited Allied victory, but costs 150,000 Allied casualties to 130,000 German. Above the trenches, the First Air War has reached new levels of sophistication and deadliness. Reconnaissance aircraft are crucial for spotting enemy positions and directing artillery fire onto them. Scout aircraft or fighters try to shoot them down before they can execute their mission. New models of aircraft are developed every few months, but that spring, the superiority of German aircraft leads to heavy Allied losses in what becomes known as Bloody April. Three days after the fall of Vimy Ridge, French General Robert Nivelle launches his main offensive. Expectations are high, but after initial success, the advance bogs down and casualties quickly mount on both sides. The apparently senseless losses cause morale in the French army to collapse. Whole units mutiny, refusing to attack. General Nivelle is sacked as French commander-in-chief and replaced by General Pétain, hero of Verdun, who promises no more suicidal attacks. That summer, at Messines Ridge, the British tunnel under the German lines and detonate 19 enormous mines under the enemy position. It's the largest man-made explosion in history to date, and paves the way to a brilliant but highly local British victory.
Dang, that's insane, dude.
In Greece, King Constantine, who has favoured neutrality, is forced to abdicate, and Greece joins the Allies. Russia's provisional government orders a new attack, but the July offensive is a disaster. The morale and discipline of the Russian army has collapsed. It can no longer be relied on to fight, and the Central Powers' counterattack is almost unopposed. At sea, the Allies begin to group their merchant ships into convoys, which sail under naval escort. The new system leads to a steady fall in losses. The tide is turning in the U-boat war. As discontent with the war grows in Germany, the German parliament, the Reichstag, passes a peace resolution, calling for a peace of understanding and reconciliation. It's ignored by the German High Command, which now effectively rules the country as a military dictatorship. In Belgium, the British launched their major offensive of 1917, the Third Battle of Ypres. It will be remembered as Passchendaele. Heavy shelling, rain and broken irrigation channels turned the battlefield into a sea of mud. In these impossible conditions, all hopes of a breakthrough soon fade. The attack is called off after 3 months, by which point the British have suffered 240,000 casualties, the Germans 200,000. On the Italian front, at the 11th Battle of the Isonzo, Italian and Austro-Hungarian forces batter each other into exhaustion. There are 150,000 Italian casualties, 100,000 Austro-Hungarian. That year, 1917, the list of Allied nations grows. Brazil, Liberia, China, and Siam all declare war on Germany as a result of German U-boat attacks, or to...
Yeah, Germany was wild. Like, everyone's like, we just hate Germany. Yeah, I mean, it also kind of goes to show you, like, after pre-World War One, right? Like, we might get to this in the next video, since it'll be the last one, but yeah, just how, like, you know, neutered the Germany was after, you know, World War One, and just like a lot of punishment was put on Germany in particular. So yeah. Every world war, Germany seems to, like, yeah, you know, really get it, huh?
Curry favor with the Allies. China will contribute many thousands of laborers working for the Allies in Europe, the Middle East, and Asia. That year in the Middle East, British forces avenged their 1916 humiliation at Kut by defeating the Ottoman Turks and marching on to occupy Baghdad. British forces in Egypt advance across the Sinai Desert, but are thrown back by Ottoman forces at the First and Second Battles of Gaza. In July, Arab rebels capture the strategic Ottoman port of Aqaba. They are accompanied by a British military advisor, Captain T.E. Lawrence, better known as...
Yes, Lawrence of Arabia. There's a pretty good movie, I think, starring the actor Peter O'Toole about Lawrence of Arabia. And, yeah, that's mainly why I know him, you know? But it's a pretty cool, you know, story here happening in the Middle East.
As Lawrence of Arabia. That autumn, British Foreign Secretary Arthur Balfour issues the Balfour Declaration, expressing support for the creation of a national home for the Jews in Palestine. The aim is to rally Jewish support for the Allies, but the declaration contradicts existing pledges to Arab leaders. In October, the British finally win at Gaza, clearing the way for an advance into Palestine. 6 weeks later, General Allenby leads British troops into Jerusalem, ending 400 years of Ottoman rule. With Russian forces in disarray, Germany is able to move troops from the east to the Italian front. At the Battle of Caporetto, they helped to smash through the Italian army, advancing 70 miles and taking 250,000 prisoners. British and...
I'm telling you, Germany carried. Germany's usually carrying its allies, Aiden, in these world wars. Yeah, it's insane. It's just funny when you think about it, how all of this happened. A dude got shot, like, you know, some Serbian assassins kill, you know, the Austria-Hungary, you know, it was Archduke, you know, Francis Ferdinand. And Yeah, so dude gets shot, and a beef between these two results in everyone else fighting, and Germany becomes, through the Allies' perspective, the biggest enemy. Like, I don't know, it's like, I almost laugh because it's like, oh my goodness, how did that, like, all of this, all these casualties, the hundreds and thousands of death, like, millions, right? It has to be millions, wait. Yeah, just the millions who died because of this, right? Like, it's insane, man.
French divisions, desperately needed on the Western Front, have to be redeployed to shore up the line. In Russia, a second revolution brings Lenin's Bolshevik party to power. He is determined to end Russia's involvement in the war. In France, Georges Clemenceau becomes prime minister. Nicknamed the Tiger, he promises total war and total victory. But for the Allies in late 1917, final victory looks uncertain. Russia has stopped fighting. French armies are recovering from mutiny. The Italian front has almost collapsed. And American reinforcements still seem a long way off. For the time being, the British are the only effective Allied force in the field. So the British attack at Cambrai with the first major tank assault in history. On the first day, nearly 400 tanks spearhead an advance of several miles through German defences. But then the tanks break down or are knocked out. The Germans...
Yeah, the first tanks had a lot of technical kinks that still haven't been perfected yet, so there were ways to actually just straight up stop them. I think I remember I was actually watching like a historian on YouTube. I forget the video, but he was kind of breaking down some World War I films and their like accuracy. And I think something that interested me is that he said, yeah, the original tanks, they would often use smoke to kind of, in conjunction with the tanks moving to kind of like, help it move a little bit without issues and, obscure it a bit, because there were ways to stop it. But yeah, overall, it's still really cool to just see the tank, Like I said, it really is just kind of introducing a completely new beast on the battlefield that, we use even to this day. So, yeah.
Rush in reinforcements, and the gains are lost. Finland declares independence from Russia. Romania, isolated by the Russian collapse, signs an armistice with the Central Powers. 6 days later, Russia also signs an armistice. The Allied Eastern Front is no more. 1917 has seen one major Allied power, Russia, knocked out of the war. But the arrival of a fresh new ally, America. Germany knows only military victory can now save it from being overwhelmed by Allied resources, and begins planning one last massive onslaught for the spring of 1918.
Dang. This is hype. This is legit hype. I'm loving this, man. And, oh man, we only have one more video, guys. Dang it. So, but yeah, this has been a really fun series. Like I said, I just really love everything and about this series, it's just really well done, which you kind of expect from epic history at this point, right? To just really bring it. And like I'm never like my expectations are always met with his series. That's kind of the thing about this point. Like, this really was aptly named the breaking point because, yeah, everything, you know, is just going. This is just a war of attrition now. We're just seeing who can kill the most people until the other side can't keep producing more people. There's no, you know, no big sleight of hands or anything else other than just survive and outlast the enemy. That's basically the goal right now. And yeah, France is suffering through mutinies. Britain's kind of carrying right now, for the Allies. People are being knocked out of the war, like Russia and Romania. But I think the bright spot, at least through the Ally perspective, is certainly America joining in, because it's like a fresh new power that hasn't suffered so many losses, and even Germany sees this like, okay, we need to take them out. It's funny because it really is Germany who brought them in, right? Through getting through the whole Zimmerman. I don't think I pronounced that right, but the telegram and the bombing, just like in a funny way, kind of brought the enemy into it. And yeah, it's just like, I don't know, like I said, I just find this war so interesting, and I always kind of laugh when you think, like, this all started because a dude got shot, and then all of this, like, it's almost like you forget that after a bit, right? Seeing all this death, seeing all these battles, you kind of forget, why did this happen again? Oh yeah, an assassination, and then it just became like, and it's like, it's funny because like Austria-Hungary kind of feels like an afterthought, even though it's really them and Serbia, right, that started the whole thing, their conflict, because it just feels like, yeah, Germany becomes the main player of the Central Powers, right? So it's like you almost kind of like forget about Austria-Hungary. I don't know, it's just like so much happened, dude. And like my quick Google search was like 40,000 people died. Then again, that was a quick Google search, I'm not sure, but either way, not 40,000, 40 million. Only 40,000 people died. Maybe in like one skirmish of this war, yeah, but yeah, something else I really like, just kind of seeing the like I said, Germany really got obviously treated as the main bad guy, at least through the Allies' perspective of this war, as everyone started jumping on Germany specifically, declaring war on Germany specifically. And yeah, it's just interesting to see just how much more people are getting involved. Like Brazil, you literally hear nothing about Brazil most of the time in this war, so it's cool seeing that. China, the Greeks are getting involved. Yeah, there's just so much happening, right? Everyone's like just throwing their hat in, to the ring per se. And yeah, I didn't comment on this because it's funny how topical Palestine and the Jewish people are all the time, right? Even to this day. But it is interesting that talks of a nation, the Jews having their own nation, which is what happened after World War II, and then there's the war that happened there, and even to this day, conflict, right? Just so much history there, and what else? I'm trying to like just get all my thoughts out. Obviously, there's so much that happened in this. There's so much to talk about. That's the thing. Let's see.
In Russia.
Yeah, I think I've covered most things. So yeah, and then there's the Russian Revolution, which is insane because then, there's a Russian Civil War that happens soon after. Like there's just so much, man, and it's gonna be really cool seeing the final part of this. series next time. So yeah, guys, tune in next time for the grand finale of World War One. I'll be seeing you all there, and yeah, bye everyone.